Welcome back, or if this is your first time here, today we're diving into the psychology of connection, attraction, and the subtle emotional cues that shape how others experience you. We're going to explore something simple yet often overlooked, a small shift in awareness that can turn an ordinary interaction into something unforgettable. Before we continue, pause for a moment and reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever been close to someone, not doing anything dramatic, barely even speaking, yet the moment felt intense, almost electric? Maybe it was a glance, a pause, or a breath shared a little too closely. You couldn't quite explain it, but you felt it. That's exactly what we're exploring today. Not techniques, not manipulation, but an understanding of how the human mind and body naturally respond when the right signals align. Here's the reality most people miss. Attraction is rarely built through bold, obvious actions. It emerges in quiet spaces. The subtle pauses, the near moments, the small shifts your brain registers before conscious thought even catches up. One reason certain types of touch feel so powerful lies in how the nervous system is structured. The body isn't equally sensitive everywhere. Some areas are wired with a higher concentration of nerve endings, meaning any stimulation there sends stronger, faster, and more emotionally charged signals to the brain. But what makes this even more fascinating isn't just physical sensitivity, it's interpretation. When touch occurs in these areas, the brain doesn't categorize it as ordinary. Instead, it associates it with closeness, intimacy, and emotional significance. That's where something physical begins to transform into something deeply psychological. Picture this in a real-life setting. You're sitting close to someone you feel comfortable with. The conversation flows easily. There's warmth, a sense of ease, nothing forced. Then there's a subtle shift in distance. Not obvious, not dramatic, just enough for your mind to register. Suddenly, your awareness heightens. You notice your breathing. Their presence becomes more vivid. Even the space between you feels charged. That small shift alone activates something deeper within the mind. This is where many people misunderstand attraction. They assume it's about doing more, when in reality it's about recognizing what's already unfolding beneath the surface. The skin plays a major role here, especially in areas where it's thinner and more responsive. The neck, jawline, and the space just behind the ear are particularly sensitive because the nerves lie closer to the surface. Even the lightest touch in these areas can feel intensified, not due to pressure, but because of how quickly the sensation reaches the brain. And here's where it becomes even more interesting. The response isn't just physical. The brain instantly attaches emotional meaning to that sensation. It connects it with trust, closeness, and something personal rather than casual. That's why a gentle, well-timed moment can feel far more powerful than something rushed or intense. Now, consider this insight. It may completely change how you view these interactions. The brain often responds more strongly to anticipation than to the action itself. Psychological research on the reward system shows that when we anticipate something, dopamine is released, the same chemical linked to pleasure, motivation, and excitement. But here's the key: that release often peaks before the moment even happens. So what does this mean in everyday life? It means the build-up, the pause, the almost is where emotional intensity truly forms. Think back to a time when something meaningful felt like it was about to happen, but didn't occur immediately. Maybe someone leaned in, then paused. Maybe eye contact lingered just a second longer than expected. That uncertainty, the what happens next. Feeling is where the mind becomes fully engaged, and once the mind is engaged, the experience becomes memorable. This is why slow, intentional movement carries more weight than quick, impulsive actions. When something happens too fast, the brain doesn't have time to process it. There's no build-up, no emotional layering. It simply passes by. But when a moment unfolds gradually, the brain begins collecting details. Breathing patterns, subtle posture changes, the warmth of proximity, even silence takes on meaning. Suddenly, something simple becomes deeply significant. Let's make this practical. Understanding is important, but application is where transformation happens. First, pay attention to your pace. Most people rush without realizing it. Speaking quickly, moving quickly, reacting quickly, but when you naturally slow down, everything shifts. Next time you're in a calm interaction, notice your breathing, let it settle, allow pauses instead of feeling every silence. Maintain soft, relaxed eye contact without forcing it. You'll begin to notice a change in the emotional atmosphere. Second, focus on presence. This is powerful. People can sense when your attention is divided, and they can also feel when you are fully there, not trying to impress, not overthinking, just present. That kind of presence creates a sense of safety, and safety is what allows emotional openness. I once spoke with a woman in her late 50s who shared a moment she never forgot. There was nothing dramatic, no grand gestures, no romantic setting, just a quiet conversation with someone she trusted. At one point, he simply paused, looked at her with calm attention, and didn't rush. She said, "It felt like time slowed down." Nothing obvious happened yet. Emotionally, everything did. That's the power of psychological tension. And to be clear, this isn't about pressure or discomfort. It's not about creating uncertainty in a negative way. It's about leaving space for curiosity, awareness, and emotional buildup. This tension exists between intention and action. When that space is respected, the mind leans in. It becomes curious, engaged, and emotionally invested. This is where subtle gestures gain meaning. Now let's talk about body language. It influences everything we've discussed. Humans constantly read nonverbal signals: posture, eye contact, breathing, movement. When your body language is calm and grounded, it creates a completely different emotional response than when it's tense or rushed. Confidence here isn't about dominance, it's about ease. Feeling comfortable in your own presence, moving with intention instead of urgency. The brain is highly sensitive to emotional tone. If your energy feels calm and steady, even small gestures carry weight. If it feels scattered or forced, even bigger actions lose impact. So it's not about doing more, it's about how you show up. Let's bring this together. Real connection happens when multiple signals align: touch, proximity, warmth, presence, and timing. When these elements come together naturally, the brain interprets the moment as meaningful, something worth remembering. That's why subtlety often creates more impact than intensity. Subtle moments invite the mind to engage, to imagine, to feel. Before we continue, take a second to like this video if it's resonating with you, and if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss these deeper conversations. Now consider this. What if the most powerful part of attraction isn't what you do, but what you allow to build? What if connection happens in the pauses, the quiet awareness, the moments where nothing obvious is happening, but everything is being felt? Once you begin to notice this, you can't unsee it. And there's an even deeper layer to this. What makes a moment powerful isn't just the action, it's the meaning the brain assigns to it. Beneath everything, the mind is quietly asking, is this safe? Does this matter? When both answers are yes, something opens naturally without force. This is why certain areas of the body feel different. Not only are they physically sensitive, but psychologically they're more personal. These aren't spaces we allow just anyone into. So when someone enters that space, the brain recognizes it as meaningful. It's not just contact, it's access. And access is tied directly to trust. When approached slowly and respectfully, the mind doesn't resist, it leans in. It begins associating that person with comfort, safety, and understanding. Compare that to rushed behavior. When things move too quickly, the brain reacts instead of responding, and reaction often carries tension. But when moments unfold gradually, the brain stays open and receptive. This is where anticipation becomes powerful. Anticipation isn't just waiting, it's engagement. It's the mind becoming involved in what might happen next. Imagine sitting beside someone in a calm, comfortable silence, no pressure, then slowly they shift slightly closer, just enough for you to notice, then nothing, a pause. But in that pause, your awareness heightens. You notice their breathing, the warmth, the energy in the space. That pause isn't empty. It's full of possibility. And this is where many people go wrong. They rush to fill that space in, but that space is the moment. When you allow it to exist, even briefly, the mind becomes more engaged. It starts to feel, not just observe. Now, none of this works without the right internal state. You can't fake calm presence. Your body always communicates the truth. So how do you develop it? Start with awareness. Your breathing posture and pace. When your breath slows, your nervous system follows. Your movements become smoother, more intentional, and people can feel that steadiness. It doesn't demand attention, but it naturally draws it. I once worked with a man in his early 60s who felt disconnected from attraction entirely. He believed those moments were behind him. But the issue wasn't age. It was awareness. He had been rushing through interactions, focused on saying the right things. So we tried something simple. Slow down, breathe, allow pauses, maintain relaxed eye contact. So later he told me, for the first time in years, I felt the moment had weight. That's the shift, not technique, awareness. Another key layer is emotional presence. The brain doesn't just respond to physical closeness. It responds to attention. When someone feels truly seen, it creates a powerful emotional experience. Even small gestures, a glance, a pause, become meaningful when they come from genuine presence. When emotional awareness combines with physical sensitivity, the brain interprets the moment as significant, not because of what's happening, but because of how it feels. So ask yourself, how often do you let moments breathe? How often do you slow down enough to truly experience that? In a fast-paced world, presence is rare, and that rarity creates value. If this is shifting your perspective, comment the word aware below and share this with someone who might benefit from understanding this subtle psychology. Because ultimately, powerful moments aren't created by intensity. They're created by alignment. Alignment between your body, mind, pace, and presence. When those are in sync, even the simplest interaction can feel deeply engaging. And when calm confidence, intentional timing, and awareness come together, ordinary moments become unforgettable. Not through force, but through presence.